You know that it's fun to go out, except I never leave my house. I'm either at work or home, and it seems kind of pathetic just drinking alone. So if you got nothing going on, have some drinks with Ron.
Hello, welcome to Drinks with Ron. I'm Ron, having a whiskey cola with a splash of lemon, because it's summer, damn it, and that's how I roll. I've got absolutely nothing to talk about on this episode, which is another one of those rare ones that I hope doesn't spiral into a train wreck, but I thought I'd have a drink and wait for divine intervention to inspire me with a story or an amusing anecdote to entertain you with. Or else you might just watch 3 minutes of me drinking a whiskey. Either way, I'm gonna get whiskey in here, so whether you're entertained or not, really irrelevant to this guy. Nope, nothing so far. Nope, got nothing. Alright, I may have hit upon something. I'd like to state clearly, for the record, in public, and in front of God, baby Jeebus, and anyone who will ever see this, that the single, hands down, without dispute, greatest guitarist of all time is Jimi Hendrix. I can say that with a reasonable degree of certainty. I can say that knowing I won't have to eat my words. Somebody posted that online the other day and got a small conversation going, which Clapton's name was thrown in. I will give you Clapton is a very good guitarist, but Clapton himself openly admitted Hendrix blew him away. In fact, was it Sunshine of Your Love from Cream? Was actually written by Cream after they saw Hendrix play as a tribute to Hendrix, kind of hoping that he would play it one day, which he actually, one of the last few CDs that came out in the last couple of years, Jimmy plays a version of it on there, and it's fucking awesome. Jimi Hendrix is the perfect storm of guitarists. Stevie Ray Vaughan was thrown in there too. I gotta say, not a big fan, like I don't have the guy's whole catalog, but he is fantastic. But as one guy pointed out on there, totally inspired by Jimmy, wanted to be Jimmy. Hey, great fucking aspirations. I'd say the guy got as close as anybody's ever gotten in my lifetime for sure. But Jimmy is the perfect storm of a guitarist. What do I mean by that? Number one, the genetics. Jimmy was tall and sinewy, and he had these long fucking alien fingers. Just pull up some video of him on YouTube and just watch the way he gets around. Like, I have these fucking sausage fingers that I mean, these are bass player hands, and frankly, not very good bass player hands, for that matter. Jimmy just had these monster, and you know, the reach on him, and the shit he could do. So the genetics are there, because you have to have that. I mean, yeah, if I put my mind to it, and I sat here in my basement every day and kicked an hour in every day for the rest of my life, I could be a pretty damn good guitarist. But I would never be Jimmy. One, sheer from the genetics end. I can't do the things he did. It's not possible. I don't have the reach. Like, you look at some of the Nirvana stuff with Novoselic. He's like 6 something. He's a fucking monster. Like, he's doing these 5-fret spreads. You can't do that. I gotta fucking slide. So the genetics, Jimmy's got it. Plus, the other thing Jimmy had was the desire. Like I said, you have to put those kind of hours in. You can't just say, I am tall and I have long fingers with great reach. I am a guitarist. No, you gotta put it all in. And Jimmy was born in an impoverished situation, right, a rough upbringing, and totally devoted himself to this. It was something he was singularly focused on. And when he finally got a guitar, I mean, you're talking about a guy who walked around. The thing I read is in his biography, his shoes were all worn out. He had holes in his shoes. So Jimmy would actually carry round cardboard circles in his pocket to plug the hole in the bottom, and then when one wore out and fell out, he'd have more in his pocket and he could just re-plug the shoes. You know, he never knew where he was going to get food, where he was going to eat. He would stay at different people's houses, and so I mean, the guy, that was his drive. It was guitar, night and day, 24/7, and his dad. You couldn't be left-handed. You know, that's one of those things that you hear a lot from different people. Left-handed is the devil, and you couldn't be left-handed. So Al finally got Jimmy a guitar, and he'd be playing the damn thing left-handed. Well, Al would walk in the room, so Jimmy, not wanting to get his ass kicked, would quick flip it back over and start playing right-handed until he left, and then he'd swing it back over and play left. So the guy, and he couldn't read sheet music. You know, he wasn't a sheet music guy. He used to talk about how he would hear the sound, he would hear the colors in the music, is I think the way he put it. That he would play colors. It doesn't make sense until you listen to some of his music. It's just friggin' genius. And and Jimmy had this great thing too, where I love this. When you bend a string, you know, you play a note and you can bend the string, you can change it. Well, Jimmy's theory was that if he played a wrong note, he would just simply bend the shit out of it until it was right. So if he played it wrong, he just until, hey, that was in the right range. So yeah, Jimmy, like I said, the genetics behind it, the desire to get out of his situation, and the fucking drive to be unseparated from that damn guitar. Just everything you could possibly have in a guitarist. But unlike some of these other guitarists that we throw in the conversation, Jimmy's singing and writing all this shit. Like, Clapton's a guitar player. Jimmy was a fucking artist. Clapton, he could throw down, he could play fucking whatever. Jimmy was up front lead singing. He's playing the fucking guitar. He's writing the songs. And as his career went, he would go into the studio, he would overdub, he'd play the bass, he would go play the fucking rhythm guitar. And Jimmy has one of those things with his rhythm, man. It's just so... With the multi-tracking was able to essentially let you have 3 fucking Jimi Hendrix playing together. Rhythm, lead, and bass. That is fucking insane. You're not gonna get a better band than that. You throw in a good fucking drummer and you're set. And I'm talking about a guy who didn't even want to sing. They had to force him into singing. He was not comfortable with it. He'd always played backup in all these bands, and just didn't have the desire to sing. And they said, no, it's the Jimi Hendrix experience. Jimi Hendrix has to sing. You're who they're here to see. You know, can you imagine, like, fucking AC/DC? You know, Angus Young does his thing. Can you imagine if Angus was the man up front singing all this shit too? I mean, it would be... I've seen AC/DC in concert once. Angus puts on a hell of a show, but that's what it is. It's Angus. He's running around playing. The guy on, his brother on rhythm, and the bass player, whoever the fuck they have at the time, just stand in the back. They don't move. They just stand there and fucking play. Drummer's there, guys on each side. Fucking Angus runs around like fucking crazy. And Johnson gets out there and he does some stuff where it looks like he's taking a shit when he's singing. You gotta love that. I mean, that's what my favorite thing about Brian Johnson is. It always looks like he's got a really big dump built up and he's just trying to get out of there. So that's great. I mean, he puts on a show. But could you imagine if after Bon Scott died, Angus had just stepped up and be like, dude, I'm going to sing too. I'm going to sing, I'm going to write all of our shit, I'm going to do it. AC/DC would be in a different stratosphere. I mean, they're a great band, and they're still selling out tours, making ass loads of cash. And every time they tour, it's our last tour, and they just keep putting shit out, and they keep going. And I said, people love them, they're great. I love AC/DC, but there's a different level to doing that shit and singing and writing it. I said, if Angus had done all that, he would be right up there, in my opinion. Still a great guitarist. But, I say hands down Jimi Hendrix, man. Nothing like it. His sound is so distinct. My daughter, since she was 2 or 3 years old, a song would come on the radio, and I'd say, hey, who's this? 3 seconds. As soon as she heard that guitar and she could hear the distortion, she would say, Jimmy. Because you can fucking tell. Jimi Hendrix's distortion is not like anybody's distortion. The guy that he had making his pedals, he actually put the dude under contract and said, you just make my pedals. You don't make effects pedals for nobody else. And this was back in the 60s when, they're all fucking handmade by some guy. So Jimmy's sound was like fucking nothing. The guy, I could probably recite his whole biography out of memory, but one of the great stories, a couple of the great stories, is Jimmy used some other guy's amp at one point. And dude had the amp, set like 3 or 4 for the volume. Well, input gain 4, here's 4. Jimmy walked over, cranked them both up to fucking 10. And he said the guy just looked at him and his eyes got huge. And Jimmy knew why he looked like that, and he just said, don't worry, I turned it down on the guitar. So yeah, and actually the story, because that was the big story, is he showed up, the whole reason Jimmy went to England, which is where he got huge, was to meet Eric Clapton. And he essentially showed up, met Clapton one of the first couple of nights he was there, jumped on stage, played Blew Clapton's Mind, and unseated the king in like less than 24 hours. It was just insane. It was just like, Jimmy showed up in England, was playing some places. One guy said, who was actually, I think he actually stepped off the stage and let Jimmy come up there and just fucking wail out and play. Said, I saw Jimmy play, and then I went and sold my guitar because I was done trying to be a guitarist, because I was never going to be that. Like, he retired. You know how many people Jimi Hendrix fucking retired from playing guitar just by watching him? They said, I'm out. Jimmy fucking left-handed show up and just, dude, fuck it, I'm out. You know how powerful something has to be to make somebody just fucking retire on the spot? Guess what? I work in the studio now. I run boards because I'm done as a fucking musician. That's powerful. So I encourage you to go look up videos of Jimi Hendrix. Look for his early shit. He backed up a ton of people. He backed up Little Richard for years. He backed up a lot of fucking people. And you can find black and white videos of Jimmy in the background just playing rhythm, just blending in with the band. And fucking fabulous, man. There's something about it. I honestly feel if I sit down and watch an hour of Jimmy playing live, that I actually get better as a guitarist just watching him. I don't have to practice. It's like, hey, I'm better because I saw that happen. I know that can now occur. I can't do it, but I've seen it, and my brain knows that the guitar can be played like that. So, go look up some Jimmy videos. Look for his live shit. The guy is unequaled. Greatest guitarist of all time, hands down. I will stake my life on it. Not a Ryan Braun, I'll stake my fucking life that I never took fucking PEDs. I mean, I will stake my life on it. I have never seen a more fantastic fucking guitarist. And the odds are, as long as I live, I probably never will. That should be depressing, but as long as we got all of Jimmy's old footage, I'm completely happy to know that that's probably not going to be matched in my lifetime. So for Drinks with Ron, Got a progressively warm drink to finish off. Signing off.